First of all, it is a great honor to be here with you tonight. I'm looking forward to helping to warp the minds of our youth as they grow older. Obviously, we're going to do a little bit better than that. We're going to give you some great advice, stuff I wish I had learned long ago. So thanks to Mark Johnson, Crossroads Church, and Moore Public Schools for this opportunity. So this is it. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. Some guy you don't know to get up here and tell you how to live your life. How exciting. So the truth is, most of you will forget what I say the minute you walk out this door. Others of you might even be on social media right now, not even hearing a single word I'm saying. And a few of you, a few, will actually grasp onto a few key points, and you'll take those with you, and you'll apply them. That's my hope here tonight. But I get it, though. To be your age and to get a chance to do things differently, had I been given what I'm about to tell you, makes you think. That's the question, is the young mind capable of understanding, and is it able to apply it? The answer is going to be solely up to each and every one of you here tonight. Today, rather, not quite night. If you don't want to listen to a guy who's a government guy or has been in the weather business on the internet, if you love reality TV shows, I was in 2 of those, so maybe that'll keep your attention going. They were silly, though. All TV is silly. What we're going to talk about is the more serious side of life. And sometimes the serious stuff can lead to something silly. So let's do this. So many of you cannot wait to get the heck out of your parents' house and live life. Others have no plan to do so. You've got a nice, cozy basement. You've got a great cowboy keyboard. And your mom is going to supply you endless amounts of Cheetos and Dr. Peppers well into your 30s. Some of you are going to go to college and graduate. Some of you won't. Some of you get your master's degrees, and some of you won't. Some of you will do nothing with your degrees. And yeah, some of you will. I will say this. In any of those outcomes, all of you can be successful. Well, with the exception of the basement dweller. Not quite sure about that. But I'm going to tell you what it takes to be successful. It's rather simple and straightforward, actually. All it takes is for you to turn off the TV, put down the smartphone, and use that gift God gave you called the brain. It's that easy. I know it's a revolutionary idea. But here's the deal. Find your passion early on and follow it. Now, you might have a couple of passions. That's great. The more the merrier. Find out which one of those can generate income for your future. You can turn the ones that can into a career. It'll make that thing called work so much better. For those that may not quite get there, turn them into an enjoyable hobby. Do things that you like. Make life fun for yourself. And you're going to be passionate about these things, which is good because you're going to need that through life. Let's take these with you. Now, I'm going to come back to this key point. But don't be afraid to throw things at the wall and see what sticks. Don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid when you succeed and others take notice. Sacrifices are also part of the game. Some are going to be easy, and some are going to be extremely difficult. Some are required, and some will destroy lives and cause you to lose a part of yourself. The key is to find a balance. and be mindful of others as you stay in your little bubble, in your own world, trying to carve out a niche in the world around you. Try to use your faith to guide your decisions. If you do that, you'll find yourself making far less bad ones, I would say. Let me give you a personal example of just in my particular case. So I was very passionate about art and weather. And as a kid, I was very curious about how things worked. So kind of an engineering, take it apart, fix it kind of mindset. Well, I would draw on the sidewalk with, I said chalk, but really I think it was just rocks. But it looked like chalk when you drew on it. And I would also go into art schools, and I would make all kinds of stuff. The mediums didn't matter, I just enjoyed all of it. I'd take apart all my toys and see how they worked. For my love of weather, I would do something really dumb. Today, I tell people don't do this. But I would climb on the top of my roof to watch a storm roll in. I literally wanted to touch the base of the cloud. That's a really bad idea. There's a lot of lightning with storms. So I'm lucky I'm actually even here today, just from that stupidity alone. But that's how excited I was about the weather. And of course, I'd watch every guy on TV, every single channel. I'm sure it drove my parents crazy. So, which would these interests would I succeed at? Which can I actually make an income of? Well, my mother gave me advice only twice in my life. The first one was when I was 13. And it was the most uncomfortable, I don't want to be here, please stop talking, conversation ever. It lasted for about 5 seconds. And she said, always wear a condom. Thanks, Mom. Can I go outside and play now? Literally is about how that went. That was embarrassing. Okay, well, luckily the next year, she got a little bit better on the advice train, but it wasn't exactly easy to take. She knew I liked art, and she knew I had the passion in weather as well. And she said, well, you can choose art, but odds are you're going to live in a cardboard box. Now, my mind at 14, thinking living in a cardboard box sounds terrible. So just off the basis of that, I said, weather it is. So what I ended up doing was keeping art going as a hobby, because I still enjoy doing it. And I actually ended up winning a first place pottery contest right after that. So I ended up taking the art with me into weather, and I got to apply it in that direction, which is really good. Kind of you get to do both things that you want to do. So on the taking things apart side, that was kind of more the engineering end. What that did, it's not an income generator, but it gave me the confidence and allowed me to do something different, which was work on my own vehicles. I wasn't afraid to jump into a motor and get busy. So that was kind of part of that. It also helped me to jump into new technology and not have a fear of it, just embrace it. And all those helped to form my career. And even in college, having that mindset helped understand the complications behind math and physics, because a lot of that's all engineering based too. So when it came to weather, remember, I'm a kid that's very odd. I already know what I want to do. So I became a weather watcher for a TV station, and then an intern, and then I said, okay, let's go to school. Let's pick a college, top 3 university in the country for weather. And A&M was right there. It was also in-state tuition, which really made it right there. You'll understand that. Now, before you think, well, were you born with a silver spoon in your mouth? Must be nice. No, we were poor, dirt poor. Electricity turned off all the time. I would eat tortillas with salt on it and butter for dinner. So no, the family did not have a lot of money. So how am I going to pay for college? As a young kid, you don't worry about that. And then as you get older, you got to set goals. So when I was in high school, I did everything I possibly could to get the best honors, best achievements, take the most classes, anything pre-college, anything I could get for college. So that helped to get the grants. And then you could apply for the financial aid. And what that didn't fill in, of course, you had the part-time work that you did because you worked hard. It was something called a credit card. A credit card can be really good and really bad. In this particular case, it helped fill in the gap to get me to pay for school. An interesting story, and I have not told anyone this before, and I'm going to have to leave a couple of things out because of the nature of what it is. I almost didn't finish college. My sophomore year, I confided in a pastor and it says, look, money's not there. I can't make it. My dreams are over. He did the typical pastor thing. God will provide. And I'm going, how? I was so stressed, my hair would come out in clumps in the shower. This is my sophomore year. This never happened to me before. So why was I stressed? Well, I needed financial aid to make it. The rest of it I had, but I had to have the financial aid. Well, my father decided he wanted to sue the IRS and take them to court because he thought paying taxes was unconstitutional. Go, Dad. Well, the problem with that is you can't get financial aid when that happens. So that was a knockout, drag-out, stressful go-around. And I'm like, Dad, you are not going to single-handedly ruin my chance for my future. So I'm going to leave a few things out, but let's just say a tax form was provided to Texas A&M, and I got the financial aid, and I was able to finish. That was the first time where my future I felt was in jeopardy. Second time, and this is part of being an idiot, and you will all understand because we're all idiots. And you will have that moment to where, yes, I was a good idiot that day. So I get there's a physics class. You know, in college, these physics classes are tough as it is. I had Professor Pamahama Bandhu. He, unfortunately, did not master the English language prior to coming to Texas A&M. And so the entire class failed. We all had a really hard time with the subject matter, much less the communication side of it. And he cried his eyes out, I'm trying to teach you guys, you don't understand. And we're like, we don't understand either. So the class average on the midterm was a 40. I got like a 25. I'd had straight A's prior to this. I'm like, what in the world is a 25? So I didn't know how to process that. I get a letter from this new dean of college saying, Aaron, sorry, you're not cutting the mustard. You're weak. We need smart kids here. You're going to have to go. Oh, hell no. You want to light a fire under a kid? You want to try to take away their dream? That's how you do it. Now, this is your idiot moment because you're young and dumb. But all you know is that you are in survival of the fittest mode. So I barge into the dean's office, no announcement, no request, right past the secretary. Again, got the letter in my hand saying, you will not kick me out. You will see. And I explained the class deal, the test. That was the only test that was on there, so it was low. And she didn't know about the curve or all that other stuff. I think she was so flabbergasted that some kid would just barge in there like that she didn't know what to say. So she just let me be. She says, okay, we'll bring your grades up. That was pretty much it. So I brought him up, ended up getting a B in the class. So I take that report I had in my hand. They printed them out back then. And I do stupid thing number 2. So the dean is sitting at a round table with other deans having probably some huge important meeting. And I just bust right in and go, got a B! And of course, she looks at me like, who is this crazy nut job barging into this meeting? And just kind of nodded her head, kind of did one of these, and that was the last we ever spoke or ever heard of it. So despite my stupidity, but my passion is what got me through and helped me to succeed. Maybe that was a catalyst I needed to kind of keep going. I don't know, but that's the story that I hardly tell anybody. But listen, I was hungry. I would do anything in the field of weather. I ended up working at the meteorology department on web pages, which in the early 90s, there wasn't much out there. You had to learn, well, you didn't have to learn anything. It was just HTML code, which was new, and so you just figured it out on your own. I got to work on a lot of research projects, chasing tornadoes. That was so much fun. Other thing that ended up happening was I got hired on at a local CBS affiliate. So it was my first TV job for the weekend. So I was hired on as a research technician for the Department of Meteorology and working at the TV station. That's 7 days a week. How would you like to work 7 days a week the rest of your life? Doesn't sound good. But as a kid, 23 years old, in the field that you love, loved it, ate it up. I absorbed so much. By the end of 3 years, though, I was starting to get tired of it. I did need a five-day job. I'd applied to many TV stations. I calculated back then, now this is back then, college today, I couldn't afford it. I think it ended up costing about $40,000 to go to A&M, and that was cheap. That was living as cheap as I could, a non-air-conditioned dorm, no frills, no thrills, nothing. So I've got this debt by now to pay off. And the TV stations want to hire me for $19,000 a year. I'm going, I just graduated and you're going to pay me $19,000 a year? What's wrong with you people? I just have this fancy degree, have all this knowledge, and you want to pay me minimum wage. That was disheartening. So during this time, I just kept working, kept plugging away, sending out more resume tapes, kept practicing, getting better. I was still determined to be the best I could be, so it didn't matter. I was just going to keep going. Now, in life, you have these forks in the road, and you're going to come up across a few of them. My first job fork, you could call it, was being offered a position with Lincoln Laboratories and then going to grad school at MIT. Now, look, I always thought I was kind of smart, but not MIT smart. So that was exciting, but very, very, intimidating, you could say. But at the exact same week, I got a job offer in Tulsa to work at Tuttle for a meteorologist position that actually paid money. And I was like, I'm there. That was my passion, and I went for it. And I'm glad I did. So in the 12 years that I worked in television, I learned a lot of things. How to market myself, how to become my own brand, how to help others day to day with my product. So I ended up using this experience to create my own branded weather company. And now I compete directly against the TV stations. Me, just one person taking on multi-billion-dollar corporations here in this market. Now, if I can do that, imagine what you can do. I'm not nobody special. I worked hard and used every resource I could. The funny thing is, when your competition tells their viewers, don't listen to the internet meteorologist, you know you've made it. Because now you're in their backyard. So take all the traits you learn on the job and use them to your advantage. Always learn from others, assimilate information, and make yourself better, more valuable, more desirable. Be more assertive, more aggressive. The more you are in the job world, the better off you'll be. Nature has a way of weeding out the weak. Don't be weak. Listen very carefully to the following statements. Number one, there is nothing that guarantees you a pain-free existence or happiness or an easy road. 2, you're not entitled to anything. You work. 3, the smarter you are, the less you have to put in the heavy lifting. Use your brain, use your resources, find the motivation, find the determination, find your ambition and go for it. So you've probably heard the expression, life is about the journey, not about the destination. That's cute, and it looks really good on a Hallmark card. Here's the deal. Many steps you take, and the outcomes from those are going to be terrible. You may actually hate the journey, but love the end result. Conversely, the journey may be like a necessary evil just to get to the end result. It could even be where the journey, actually you loved it, but the expectations you had at the end fell way short. It's called life, and you're going to have to deal with it. You are going to have highs and lows and everything else in between. In relation to this, do me a favor. And this is about as preachy as I'm going to get because I'm not a pastor. There are many verses in the Bible referring to blessed is he that. It does not follow with drive a Range Rover. Blessed is he that lives in a large house. Blessed is he that has 100,000 followers on Instagram, or 1,000 likes on a Facebook post, or anything material on this planet. It typically applies to some amount of human suffering, while at the same time still being able to manage to give God all the glory and praise. Your faith will be tested over and over, because this is one of the biggest challenges in your life. It's not when you succeed, but when you fail. There will be times you'll be disappointed, and your response won't be so preferable for yourself or for God. And there'll be times you do the right thing, and it'll bring you both joy. In the end, know that God is always there for you and always loves you. So the next time you want to say, I'm blessed, because you got something you wanted, change it around. Instead say, I am blessed when you're at the bottom and you have nothing. Because remember, when you're at the top, grace is what got you there, oftentimes despite yourself. Think of my story a moment ago. How stupid was that to run into the dean's office? I probably had so much grace come down on me, I don't even know about it. And remind yourself that you're human. You're going to make mistakes, a lot of them. And that's okay. Some of you are going to hold these in secret. You don't want anybody to know about it. The other half, you're going to be tweeting it on social media for the world to see. The key is to learn from these mistakes and try to limit the amount of carnage in the lives around you. And guess what? You're going to change, all of you. Some of you are going to change for the better, and some of you are going to change for the worse. But you're going to change, make no mistake. Your anxieties, the way you treat others, your defense mechanisms, and all the other quirks that makes you, you designed and developed and built that since the day you were born. For example, you learned how to interact, or you will, in relationships from watching your parents. If your parents are cold and distant, you picked up on that. Your future relationship, odds are, cold and distant. If they're warm and loving, very touchy, guess what? Your future relationship's going to be a lot like that. Now, the good news is you can reverse any negative traits by working on them. The key is you have to identify them first, and that's the hardest thing. Speaking of relationship, here's my best advice. Take this from someone who's in their early 40s, been divorced, went through very, very, very expensive relationship counseling. So I'm about to save you a ton of money and a lot of heartache. And the parents can listen to this too, because I know it's going to apply to you as well. So you're not getting off easy either. What I've learned over time is that both parties must be able to and willing to do the following. Number one, forgive. Look, I could break it down and say in biblical terms, Christ forgave you, so what do you think you're doing? You don't have a choice. The truth is, you don't have a choice. You have to forgive. You may not like it, but you have to do it. Number two, let go of the past. If you bring something up that happened 5 or 10 years ago in an argument, do you think that's going to end well? Let it go. Move on. Trust me, there'll be plenty of other things to argue about in the future. You don't have to carry that baggage around with you. Number 3, this is a hard one. Empathize. Empathy. You're like, well, what is that? Look it up. Google. Get your phone out. The quicker you learn that word, the better. Trust me, you're going to want to use that all the time. Validate the other person's emotions, their feelings, their entity. Take ownership. You screwed up, own it. No excuses, no reasons, no but if, and well, I meant this. Own it. Say, yep, That's me. I screwed up. I'm an idiot. I'm going to work on that. Number 6, this is difficult. Understand and see the other's view. Forget the whole it's my way or the highway. I had that for so long. I thought, I had it all figured out. Everybody should think just like me. Luckily, I grew out of that at some point. When, I don't remember. But I did. It was probably out of your 20s. But try to see the other person's point of view. Now, here's a tricky one, and I've yet to solve it. I'm not so sure it can be solved. It's like a puzzle. Realize that each other's perception is likely different from reality. And how do you handle that when the facts don't matter? Remember, what you think is happening or what you thought you heard causes you to feel a certain way. Now, if it turns out those words weren't what you thought you heard, or that action wasn't what you thought it was, that has a chance to change your perception. I advise you to change your perception, because if you don't, it's causing heartache for yourself, unnecessary hurt, and then an argument, and then who knows what else. Be willing to change your perception. Number 8, learn to accept the other as they are and as they change. You will never be the same person today that you're going to be tomorrow, to be the next day, the next day. You will grow and learn. Most of you will get better. A few people, unfortunately, go the opposite direction. But the majority go the right direction as they learned all these lessons in life. But you're going to have to accept them. The quirks, the things you don't like about them. And they're going to have to accept you in return. Number 9, find a way to be content. Focus on the big picture. Don't sweat the small stuff. Enjoy things more. This is a tough one, number 10. Everybody will struggle with this. You'll all struggle with this one. You're going to have to find a way to offer sacrificial love when your needs aren't met. Half of you don't even know what your needs are. You're going to learn that out as you go through time. And when those needs aren't met, they're going to be empty. Now, some will say God can help fill the needs. True, to a point. But you're human, and you have human needs. And there's a whole list of them. And everybody's built and designed differently. But when you don't get those needs met, and your partner, your spouse, whoever, doesn't want to meet them, or can't meet them, doesn't even try, and you still have to offer sacrificial love, that's tough. So I just gave you a list that should be surprising to see how any relationship can survive at all. But yet many do. Yes, make Christ a focal point of your marriage. But he alone is not going to save it. Just like working for a career, if you neglect what I said above, the relationships will either end or not be what they are truly capable of being. Remember, free will works both ways, and you always have a choice. So, I filled your minds with information about being successful in the corporate world, the journey of life, being human and welcoming mistakes, and what makes a successful relationship. So what's left? To tell you this. You have the power and the ability to do whatever it is you want to do. Where there is a will, there is a way. You fight, you scrap, you don't quit, you don't give up, you keep moving forward. You make it happen. When you go through a bad season, lean on others to get through it. Put down that thing in your hand for a minute, find a human being, look at them in the eye, feel their emotion, feel their presence, and feel their support for you. When it comes to friendships, many are going to come and go, and a lot of them are going to be superficial. You need to find at least 1 or 2 real friends, the kinds that accept you for being as horrible of a person that you probably could be. Find that person that's not going to leave your side. Because the good news is you're going to get better, and you have to accept them, and they're going to get better. The two of you can help each other get better, even at that. But you want a real friend that you can't just unfollow. That's not a real true friend. That's a cyber friend. Here today, gone tomorrow. Means nothing. So try to limit the amount of all the superficial friends and try to incorporate more of the real ones. I've talked about technology a lot tonight because I know that's the generation that we're in. So make sure you use technology and you use social media as a tool, but don't let it use you. Don't miss that. It's a trap. It'll eat up your time. It'll eat up your relationships. It can destroy your world. It can take away the creativity out of you. It can remove what could be more of you. Rise above the small things in life. Use the word whatever and move on. Don't waste any negative energy on it. Stay busy. Fill your life with life. Get out there and live it. Not the television. Turn it off. It's a waste of time. Turn off the news. Go make the news. Be you. And I've come back to this twice now. Help me finish it, so I know you're paying attention. Throw things against the wall and throw things against the wall and throw things against the wall and you got it. Congratulations, more seniors, and I wish you all the best in the world. Now get out there and conquer it with conviction.